Welcome to Influencers Unfiltered. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Influencers Unfiltered, the podcast where we dive deep into the unfiltered reality of being an influencer. I'm your host, Michelle Noor, and today's episode is a real talk about juggling the life of being an influencer while having a 9 to 5 or even school. Joining me are two incredible influencers, Sherry and Simmy. Let's get a little bit more about them. Let me know how you guys are doing today, and then tell me a little bit about you.
Honestly, I'm very happy and I feel amazing today just because I went on vacation about a month ago. I got really sick when I came back.
Yeah,
So this is the first weekend where I feel completely back to normal.
that's amazing.
Like I'm not feeling gross and I just appreciate my body even more.
Yeah, that's amazing. Honestly, after vacation, when you come back, like you don't want to leave while you're on vacation, but when you come home, you're just like so relieved that you're back home, you're back in your own sheets, you're back in your own bathroom, and it's always an amazing feeling. So that's amazing to hear that you're doing amazing. Let's hear from Simi. How are you today? Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me, Michelle. I feel great. I'm currently in the depths of final season, so I'm
Oh,
really glad to have a break just to chat with you
yeah,
guys and have a good time. But yeah, I've
yeah.
just been rolling around in papers and finals, and I have an exam tomorrow, so this is a
Oh,
great way to study.
oh,
It's a marketing
okay.
exam, so I think it kind of fits.
Oh, yeah. Okay, that works. That works. Well, good luck on your exam. I know final season is
Thank
crazy. My
you.
sister's also kind of going through it right now and she's just locked up in her room and studying, so I know the struggles. I'm so glad I'm done with school though, thank God. Okay, so before we dive into the challenges, I want to get to know you guys a little bit more about your journey as an influencer. So Sherry, tell us about your platform and what you do.
So, well, hi everyone, whoever is listening.
Yeah.
I do lifestyle vlogs on both TikTok and Instagram. And on top of that, I'm based in Toronto and I'm a big foodie. So
Mm-hmm.
you will see a lot of restaurant content and also some travel content if I do have the time for vacation.
Yeah, and I love your videos, honestly. They're so good. Like the way you do your voiceovers and you actually like show a really good life in Toronto, even though sometimes it's not as glamorous as it seems, but you do a good job of it. Let's hear a little bit about Simi and what your focus is on Instagram.
Yeah, so I basically use Instagram as my primary base platform. So I create
Mm-hmm.
lifestyle, beauty content, primarily focusing like on skincare. I'm a really big skincare fiend, and my journey kind
Yeah,
of started from
your
like
skin is
just
amazing, so it makes
oh,
sense.
thank you. My journey kind of started just like while in school, wanting to share about like what are my Sephora recommendations, and now I go on to do like product photography and videography. And it's just been a really great
Mm-hmm.
time just sharing what I love on a platform that I love.
Let's talk a little bit more about like what you guys do outside of influencing. You mentioned you're in school, and then Sherry, you
Mhm.
have a full-time job. So let's get a little bit into that and the challenges that come with it. How do you guys manage that? So I'll start with Sherry.
So when I first started, I had no intentions of being an influencer and I
Mm-hmm.
had no goals
Mm-hmm.
for my platform. I
Mm-hmm.
was just doing it for myself to pass time. But then
Yeah.
I realized, like, hey, it's actually getting traction and it's actually really fun to just
Mm-hmm.
like share my everyday life to people I don't know about. And
Yeah.
I I honestly it was never my dream,
Mm-hmm.
but a lot of times where I was just like, okay, maybe I can do this just more than my 9 to 5.
Yeah.
My 9 to 5 is not my everything.
Yeah.
So even when I just like hang out with my friends, I'll record it. Or like when I'm doing literally anything every day, I'll just record it.
Yeah.
And a lot of times also I know people get noisy. They want to know what other people are doing.
Yeah.
So it's because of that. Like I'm like, you know what? This is what everyone does on like their own time, and that's kind of how I overcame the fear of like even trying to post my
Yeah.
daily life because you know it's fine. Like people are gonna judge, but that's also how you'll get the attention.
Yeah. And honestly, when I started, I was also in school. I was in university actually, and it was kind of COVID and kind of not. Like at that point, we hadn't fully shut down, but that's when like I kind of gave up modeling, and I was like, I still need a creative outlet because school and work or whatever could be really, really draining, and you don't get to use like the creative side of you and the fun side of you. So Instagram was kind of my outlet in that way too. So I can relate to that. You saw that everyone was doing it, you kind of found a way, and I was like, you know what, let me start posting every single day, let's be consistent with it. And honestly, it's been amazing. I feel like everyone has different goals when it comes to like what they're trying to achieve out of it. In the beginning, you don't really know. You're just like doing it for fun. But then when it starts to like kind of turn into a business and you start to see traction and you start to see money from it, then the perspective changes a little bit. I also want to hear from Simi, like, what's your background? Like how you started as well as like what you do right now. And then we'll get a little bit into like how you guys manage both things at the same time.
Yeah, so my journey is a little bit similar, but yet a little bit different at the same time. I
Mm-hmm.
feel like since like grade 7 or 8, my cousins would like always come to me asking for like Instagram captions, and I was just like titled within our little
No,
community as
that's
like
a
the
hard thing.
Instagram
Honestly,
person.
that's a skill. That's a skill to
It
know
truly is.
captions for sure.
It needs to go on my resume.
Yeah.
So ever since then, like I was always kind of like pushed into like the field of marketing, and I realized that's what I wanted to do when I grow up.
Yeah.
But I feel like my sort of like influencer journey really took like a new turn when it was just around like the peak of COVID. I realized
Mm-hmm.
that I had
Mm-hmm.
like a lot of time on my hands, and I already knew what university I wanted to go to. And I've always really had like a creative outlet and wanted to put content out there. But obviously, like
Mm-hmm.
just being a minor, you're like kind of concerned about how much of your life you put out there. So I felt like I was
Mm,
at a bit more of a mature age, about to go into university, knowing right from wrong. And I was like, you know what? Let me just share some like little things that I love, like skincare and makeup, doing no harm, no foul. And
yeah.
eventually that kind of just turned into like all these brands reaching out, wanting to collaborate just for like the
Mm-hmm.
honest opinion, especially from like a micro influencer point of view.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
I didn't realize that like I truly had like the influencer title until like PR started coming in. I feel like that was my stepping stone. Even before like the monetary stuff, I was like, wow, you can just like receive product and like
Yeah.
showcase it online. I thought that was like
Yeah. It's the
a new
best part.
revelation.
It literally is the best. No, that's amazing. That's why I wanted to have you guys on this episode. I feel like both of you bring a very unique perspective, but also a very relatable perspective. A lot of people that message me and, they always ask me, like, how did you start being an influencer? Because I'm sure you were in school, I'm sure you had a job. So, like, how do you manage it? Because for like, from the outside perspective looking in, it's just like you have to constantly be on it. You have to be on social media. You have to follow all the trends, or like it's not gonna go anywhere. So I love that you guys bring this like new perspective of like, yeah, I have a job, but I also do it. Yeah, I have school, but I also do it because it's a creative outlet for me. It brings me happiness, and obviously the perks of like getting PR and I don't know, working with brands and getting invited to cool events. So I also want to ask, now that you have some experience doing social media, how do you balance your full-time job or full-time school with this industry, because it's very demanding and you constantly have to kind of one up everyone. You have to be there first to get a brand deal or whatever, to be invited to these events, because everything is like, it's pretty competitive. So let's hear from Sherry. How do you manage your full-time job and influencing?
Yeah, so I work remotely.
Mm-hmm.
So during my lunchtime, I would like check my emails,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes edit my videos, and other times I will go through like comments on my videos that maybe I have missed,
Mm-hmm.
because it's always important to engage and interact with your followers.
Yeah.
Then there are days where I would get ready during my lunchtime because I have an event to go to literally like right after work, and I gotta get out the door right away. But one thing like I did learn is, for example, if there's like an event,
Mm-hmm.
um, usually it's like you want to try to be the first one to post about it, and that will really help with the views, the engagements. You want to be the first one to get it out,
Okay.
and it's a hard thing to do,
Yeah.
but like I'm still trying to learn and get to that point like full time. But
Yeah.
it's okay if you're not,
Mm-hmm.
and there's just a lot of learning opportunities, and it's okay if you're not perfect.
Yeah, no, I love that. And honestly, I relate to that because when I had a full-time job, I would also take my lunch to like go through all my emails and all, because I feel like the emails is the most important part. That's how you kind of, work with new brands, fill out forms for PR. And yeah, definitely you have to find a balance. What helped me the most when I was having a full-time job was I'd batch my content and I would film kind of on the weekends. But then I was also working like 7 days a week at that point. But I feel like this job doesn't really feel like a job to me. It's just fun. Um, if you like remove the emails and all the other stuff, but it's fun. So that's how I was doing it, but definitely like it kind of burnt me out. We're gonna get into that. Like, how do you guys like deal with like constantly being overworked and kind of working 24/7, because this job is 24/7. That's like one thing we discuss quite a bit on this podcast, and how it leads to burnout for a lot of influencers. But I'm glad that you shared that perspective, and that's a cool tip that like if you go to an event and you're the first to post, that's usually how it performs better. I never thought about it. I'm just like, let me post it on my story, and I don't really post a reel about it. But now that I'm thinking about it, like, yeah, if you post about it, it's gonna attract a lot more people, and they're gonna see that, oh, this cool event happened before anyone else posts it. So that's amazing. How about you, Simi? How do you manage it?
For me, I kind of had like an experience of like both sides of like, having a job because of like internships and stuff, but
Mm-hmm.
also being like a full-time student. And I
Mm-hmm.
definitely say something that like I've seen is like helping me in like both scenarios is having a very set routine.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's really hard to have when you are a university student because of
Mm-hmm.
like the flexibility. Like you can have a random exam on like a Saturday at 2 p.m.
Yeah.
But when you work a 9 to 5, you know exactly when those hours are where you're going to be away from your screen or away from your phone.
Yeah.
So within school, I really like to delegate my time, honestly, down to the hour,
Mm-hmm.
which is why Google Calendar is like my godsend. Like I wouldn't be able to do any of this if not by like planning by the hour on Google Calendar.
Yeah.
And like that kind of makes me realize that like, oh, I have an assignment due like on Friday, but I have like Wednesday, Thursday to study, which means Tuesday I can like batch create content because
Mm.
if I don't have class that day or I don't have anything due within like that vicinity. So
Yeah.
just kind of like planning out my week is like really important. And I feel like that takes up a lot of my time as well, just organizing and planning. I
Yeah.
feel like that's super underrated and looked over a lot
Yeah.
within like the influencer community. Like
Yeah.
we spend a lot of time just planning out our weeks and months.
Yeah.
And being a student and just gauging if you have like an assignment or you have class, how you can kind of like fit in.
Yeah.
But I also feel like sacrifices have to be
Mm-hmm.
made. Like you need to gauge like what is more important sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the day, like your education needs to come first. So if you do have
100%.
to miss an event,
Yeah.
it is what it is, as much as it hurts. But a way that I like to just like keep myself going is just like timing is always right.
Yeah.
And if it just wasn't meant for you, it just wasn't meant for you. But
Yeah.
it shouldn't really hinder your experience or your journey.
Yeah, no, I love that. And honestly, the pressure to go to events when you're invited, especially when you're like starting off or you're a micro influencer or you haven't reached the status of, I don't know, going full time with it, you feel this pressure that, oh, I got invited. It's a privilege that I even got invited. I have to go, even though it comes at the cost of like your school, your job, your mental health, like whatever. Like when I was working full time
Yeah.
and I would get invited to an event, like I would be done at 5 o'clock and then I'd be sitting in Toronto rush hour for like an hour
Hmm.
just to go to an event, just to get a couple free products. And I feel like throughout the years, I have realized that like it's not worth the sacrifice of my mental health. It's
Yeah.
not worth my time of sitting in traffic. It's not worth the struggle. Like, this is a tip for all the influencers listening. Like, if a brand is not providing you an Uber from and to the event, don't go. Don't go, because it's not worth it. Unless it's like a really big brand, I don't know, like Ferrari, Mercedes, like, I don't know, Sephora, something big, something that you're like, okay, I cannot miss this, then sure, struggle a little bit and go. But if it's just like any brand event from any other brand, like a hair care brand, whatever it is that doesn't really align with your content, like, you know what you do, but just because it sounds like a cool event, like there's no pressure that you have to attend. There's like at least 5 events I reject on a weekly basis because I'm like, I live all the way in Milton. There is no way I'm gonna go to Toronto every single day for an event. It's a struggle.
Yeah. Location is a
Yeah,
huge thing.
100%.
Like
And these brands think,
right now I'm in Waterloo.
oh yeah, yeah. No,
Sorry.
go ahead, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was about to say, like, right now I'm in Waterloo and all the events are in Toronto. And, like, listen, I love Toronto, but how can I teleport
Yeah,
myself after,
literally.
like, a 6 p.m. class?
Literally, and I 100%, and I like this. That's why the podcast is so important because I know there's influencers in other parts of the GTA that are not Toronto. Like, Toronto is sure the hub for a lot of these businesses, and I'm sure they throw the best events, but like, throw some in Mississauga, throw some in, I don't know, Oakville, like
Yeah.
somewhere closer for other influencers. It's such a struggle for us to come all the way from Waterloo, Kitchener, Richmond Hill. Like, some people come from Markham. Like, those are far places just to get to Toronto, and especially downtown Toronto. Driving there is insane. And the bus,
It's not
yeah, it's
safe.
not safe anymore. And most of the influencers, like, by far are all women. So, we got to protect our safety, and I will never take the TTC. I will pay triple for Uber, but I will not sit on a TTC because most of these events run pretty late, like till 10 p.m. or whatever. Like, I don't want to take that. I don't want to risk it. So,
Yeah.
anyone who's listening and they're like, oh no, I have to attend these events because I got invited and whatever. Like, there's so many times where I've struggled for events and I'm like, I shouldn't have gone. It was not worth it. It was not worth all the struggle for what? For what? For a couple of mocktails, for a couple of, I don't know, like little, like, it's fun. I'm sure a lot of events are fun, but like, I've come to that point where like I only go to the ones that are like, that align with me, that are like worth it to me, that are convenient to me. So I know it's like, you think
Yeah.
it's an opportunity for you to go to an event and you can make a brand connection or whatever. I'm sure you can, but it's not always worth it, especially if you live far. Like, Simmy is all the way in Waterloo. I don't even know how you come. That's insane. Yeah, I'm like complaining about Milton. Yeah, go ahead, Sherry.
Right. So, like that's exactly what happened to me. So I'm in
Mm-hmm.
downtown, but one of my first influencer events was in Yorkdale
Mm-hmm.
Mall. It's not like super far, but I don't drive or
Mm-hmm.
anything, so it takes me at least an hour just to get
Yeah.
there. The event lasted maybe like 20 minutes, and I was, why am I even
Oh
here?
no. Oh,
No.
I would be pissed. Was it 20 minutes? Like, did you get there late or was it like actually just 20 minutes?
It's literally like they went through what's happening within 20 minutes, and then you can just like
Yeah.
mingle after. But like there was no like an actual activity, and like you weren't really, well, I wasn't really getting anything out of it. And yeah, I had the mindset of like, oh, like I should go because it's like my first
Yeah.
time interacting with this brand or
Yeah.
something.
No, I feel like that's a lot of the mindset that most influencers share is that like, oh, I can make a brand connection. I can probably get a collaboration out of this. I don't, whatever it is. Like, I'm sure if it's like something really, really important, like it would be easy for you to get there. Like, the cards will align. But if it's not aligning and it's so difficult for you to get there, like, it's probably not worth it. And most of the time when I've struggled so much for an event, it's not worth it. 9 times out of 10, it's
Yeah.
never worth it. So if you're an influencer who lives in the suburbs like me and Simmy, like, pick and choose, it's fine. If you reject an event from a big brand like L'Oreal and it's like so far away from you, it's okay. There'll be more events. They throw like 10 a year. You're
And
fine.
yeah.
Yeah, go
And
ahead.
for like any influencers or like people that are just starting up, especially like if you're in like the age bracket where you're like trying to transition from university student to 9 to 5, you're just starting out in like your corporate career or whatnot. It's not
Mm-hmm.
really worth breaking those, corporate relationships just to get a day
Yes.
off or half day off to go to some of these
Yes.
events. Like you really do
Mm-hmm.
have to pick and choose your battles.
Yeah, no, that's a really good perspective because, yeah, when you have a full-time job, like sometimes an events start at 4 o'clock, but you're not off until 5. And then you're just like asking to leave early and you have to make all these excuses. And then you pick up this horrible pattern of, I've been there, like, I know it didn't end
Hmm.
well with a job because I was like, oh, I need to go early. Oh, I need to leave. Oh, I have this today. I have this. And they were like, bro, like, are you even committed to the job? And it affected my job. So that's why, like, it's a really good perspective that you guys are bringing here because I'm sure a lot of people struggle with that where they're like, oh, I have my job today, but I also really want to go to this event. How do I make both work without sacrificing one or the other? Um, So yeah, been there, done that for sure. So another topic I want to discuss is that creating consistent content can be very, very challenging, especially like when, you have other responsibilities. It is still for me almost like every other day I post, and sometimes I'm just like, I don't know what, like today I was like, I don't know what to post. So I thank God I batch a lot of content all at once, and I have this folder in like my albums where it's called Reels, and I will just have a bunch of content in there, like skincare, makeup, whatever. And on days where I genuinely don't know, I'll post that, like today. So I want to hear from you guys. How do you stay motivated to continue putting out content based on your schedule? I don't know if you guys post every day or every other day or whatever it is, and find the time to shoot when you're like busy or tired from school or work. So let's hear from Sherry.
So I used to post every day, and that was super tiring for me. I did one of those like trial and error. It didn't just really work out, and then now I only post when I kind of feel like it. But it's still kind of consistent in a way where I still do like once or twice
Yeah.
a week. And it's not just like I go silence for like a couple weeks or a couple months. And I'm actually in this group chat with a lot of other Toronto creators, and they're really so inspiring, and they're like, they motivate me, and we motivate each other. Because whenever we feel like burnt out or something, we'll like just tell each other in the group chat, and then we'll just be like, you know what, like it's okay, like you should have fun with it. You shouldn't make it feel like, oh, it's a job that you're gonna hate. So they're really the people that like I look up to, and they're the ones that motivate me. Not really like like materialistic things that motivate me, but they
Oh,
are.
that's actually really, really sweet. And I didn't even know there was like a community out there. I feel like I've mentioned this on the podcast before, but that was one of the main reasons why I started this, because I feel like there isn't like a community of influencers where they can come and like listen to other influencers and hear their issues and the very common things that we all go through, but no one talks about it. And it's like you have only share this glamorous side that you go to all these events and you get all this PR and you work with all these brands, and no one talks about like how burnt out you are after a long day of work, or after, I don't know, posting every single day, and then you're just like, I don't know what else to post, and you know working so hard on a video and thinking it's going to go viral, but it doesn't really go anywhere. And like the mental challenges that come with it, the way you compare yourself to your friends who are influencers and they're growing at a much faster rate than you are. And I feel like I had that frustration that there was nowhere for me to go, no one I could talk to and be like, I'm going through this. Are you also going through it? Because I don't know. You don't know if people are going to be open and honest. They're going to be like, no, I'm perfect. Like, whatever. It could be anything. And that's why, like, I wanted this to be a safe space for influencers to just tap in, hear skills and tips and whatever from other influencers, but also be able to be like, oh my God, yeah, like I go through this. I'm so glad someone's talking about it, because I wanted someone to talk about these things and be like, oh my God, okay, this person also goes through it. So it's okay that I'm going through it. Because it can drive you crazy when you're just like, I have such a privileged life. I get like PR and I get all this stuff. And a lot of people, have jobs that they hate or whatever. And I have a job I love, but like, who am I to complain? But then sometimes you want to vent and you want to complain. Like what we just talked about, the events. No one talks about this. Everyone's just like, yeah, I go and it's fun. No one says how inconvenient it is when you live outside of Toronto. No one talks about these things. So I'm glad that we are, and I'm glad that you guys can relate. Simmy, I want to hear from you. How do you manage like being consistent while you have a lot on your plate?
Yeah, I feel like it goes back to like the routine.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the routine that I set up with myself around like the summertime or whenever I have like an
Mm-hmm.
internship is like the most ideal,
Yeah.
because I set up like, the time, like the hours of my day where I'm going to be working. I have a lunch hour to post,
Mm-hmm.
and then like I'd stay up all night to like batch record and edit and stuff.
Yeah.
But I feel like while like you're in school, you're just so like burnt out from like having a social life as well. Like it's very hard to do all three at once, because you're not just doing schoolwork, you're also trying to maintain a social life with
Yeah.
friends, some clubs and
Mm-hmm.
stuff. So it's kind of different from having like a 9 to 5
Yeah.
routine, which is why like especially like in the summer, like the days are longer too,
Yeah.
right? So you feel like you can be more
Yeah.
productive. Right now
I
it's
literally,
winter.
I'm watching the
like
sun. I'm like,
I
it's setting. Oh my God, I need to hurry this up.
right? Like the sunlight leaves so fast. So like the opportunity, like the window to record something in natural
Yeah.
sunlight, like isn't almost never
Mm-hmm.
there. So I feel like that like demotivates me as well. And like just mental health in
Yeah.
general, you really want to like give it your all in school, and then like whatever social battery you have left over
Yeah.
is going to be spent just trying to
Yeah.
socialize. So at the end of the day, it's really hard to be like, is social media like, am I going to make it my job? If I just want to have a relaxing day today, am I going to push myself to create content or post something?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like that back and forth, I
Yeah.
feel like, while in school.
Yeah.
But I'm definitely looking forward to the breaks. So like right now, as soon as I'm done my
Yeah.
exams, I
Mm-hmm.
can't wait to like go home and like batch create some stuff that I've been waiting on.
Yeah. And I love that because like you don't look at it as like something that's also like a task for you to do. Like it's something you enjoy. It's just sometimes you don't have time for it because
Hmm.
you have other responsibilities too. Not that you necessarily hate those responsibilities, but it's just like you're one person, you only have enough batteries to, give to everything. And that's why like I like also feel this way when, especially when I had a job and managing like personal relationships and friends. And I was horrible at it. There was like no way I could hang out with my friends and also do social media and also go to work. And it was just a lot for me. So I want to hear from you guys. Like, do you ever feel that it impacts your personal relationships, or I don't know, maybe just taking time for yourself to relax? Because I like struggle with it even now. Like I would like be doing my makeup. Even right now when I was doing my makeup, I'm like, should I film this? Should I do this? Because this could be content. But then I'm like, when I'm not filming it, I'm like more relaxed. I can do my makeup in peace. I could just like let my thoughts run and like work through it. But when I'm like filming, I'm like focused on how it looks and what the lighting looks like and if I'm showing the product correctly. And it's constantly on your mind that like you have to create content. So how does it work for you guys when you're, I don't know, hanging out with friends and just taking time for yourself and just getting a break from your job or school or work? Let's hear from Sherry.
So this past summer, I actually kind of took a break from social media because I knew I really just wanted to enjoy my summer to the
Mm-hmm.
fullest. So I probably only posted like 5 videos this
Mm-hmm.
summer. Um, they're just like events. Yeah, like it's cool. I'll post it to my story, but like, do I want to actually take the time to make a video out of it? Yes and no. Like I want to prioritize myself and my
Yeah.
mental health. Um, Especially like I want to cherish the time I have with
Yes.
my friends and family. And on top of that, like I'll try to invite like different friends
Yeah.
to events or like collaboration. So that's another way for me to hang out with them as
Mm-hmm.
well. Um, like I don't think I can really dedicate my time to every single one of my friends just outside of like the collaborations and events. It's just like we only have 24 hours a
Yes.
day.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
yeah.
No, I can definitely relate to that because I don't, a lot of my friends actually don't do social media, so it becomes even more tricky for me to like hang out with them. But like if I'm like, okay, let's go here, I will make like the getting ready to go out with them part of my content. So then I'm like, okay, I got videos today, but I could also give time to my social life. But I understand it can become really, really draining and you feel like you don't have enough hours to give your time to everything. Let's hear from Simi. How does it work for you?
So for me, I'm not like, I don't love to be the person that like shows the camera every time there's like a social event going
Yeah.
on, or like we dress up. Like it's kind of hard because you are like the influencer friend of the
Yeah.
group. You also don't want to like feel like you're invading anyone's
Mm-hmm.
privacy, or like they don't feel like being on camera or being shown. So just to kind of like be respectful like on all levels whenever I'm hanging out with like a group of friends that don't do social media, like I just tend to not want to post. Like if I do post, it's like if we're going out to dinner and like what we're eating, but I tend not to like commoditize the whole
Yeah.
thing, just to kind of like live more in the moment and just like enjoy, like, some time with my
Yeah.
girlfriends. But I realized this year, like, as much as I do love to share my life on
Mm-hmm.
social media, I realized that because it is like a highlight reel, I don't always want to like be posting
Yeah.
everything. And I do want to keep some things just like private for myself because I don't know, it's just so much more like
Yeah.
blissful. And with that approach, like there are things that I want to share on my
Mm-hmm.
platform, but maybe not so much like the mundane things because it's just nice to keep some things to
Yeah.
yourself, right? And because of my niche, I feel like it's more like beauty
Mm-hmm.
related. I don't feel like the correlation
Yeah.
as much. So that's why I only post like here and there whenever like there's a product like I really want
Yeah.
to post it. As much as like I do want to showcase, yeah, this is university life.
Yeah.
And as much as I wanted to like kind of dive into more of showing that, I do like keeping some things personal
Yeah,
and
and I feel
private.
like that's like a way to kind of find peace with this and like your life. I don't share a lot of my personal life online. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but I never post about my family. I never post about my relationships. I'll post my friends here and there, but like very like I don't like to share that at all. Just yeah, like you mentioned, niche's beauty and like fashion, and I don't think there's a need to constantly share every single part of your life, because then you feel obligated to like give people updates on how your relationship is going or how this is going, how
Yeah,
that, like that becomes even more draining. And for some people that works actually, like that's their content. If they're like, I don't know, family YouTube channels or couple TikTok channels, whatever it is, but like you don't have to. And I feel like that's where like you have to draw the boundary, especially if you're an influencer. It's like you don't have to share every single thing. Be very strategic with what you share, because you're also building like your online resume, your online whatever it is. So if you share a lot of personal things, like that could be detrimental to your brand, like you also have to keep that in mind. So I love that. I love that you keep things, some things private, and you get to enjoy those things in private, and you don't feel obligated that, oh, I'm hanging out with these friends and I posted them last time, so I should post them this time. And yeah, honestly, like
yeah,
yesterday I had like a girls night with my friends, and everyone was in their pajamas. I'm not gonna be like, hey everyone pose, let me take, like I'm not gonna do that. I took a video of the food because the food was good and I posted that, and that was it. Like I do not need to blast everyone on social media at all times to so many people that they
exactly.
don't, they don't need to. It was a pajama party, but whatever, there was no need to, put people out there when they didn't want to be out there. And that's okay. That's okay. So yeah, this is good advice for anyone listening and who's like, oh, I need to be interesting in order to be a lifestyle content creator. And I always have to share my friends and I have to share where I'm going and the new matchas or whatever I'm getting. Like share whatever is comfortable to you, something that you can consistently share, because people can get uncomfortable really fast if hate comments start coming in or whatever. Like people are scary online, so pick and choose what you want,
Hmm.
what you want to put out there. Lastly, I want to talk about burnout. I feel like it's the most real when it applies to people that have multiple things going on. I'm sure like as full-time influencers, like I didn't go through burnout until very, very recently. And that was the reason why I started the podcast, because I was like, I mentioned I wanted someone to talk about it, and I wanted to have this community to be able to relate to people. But I'm sure you guys go through burnout a lot more often when you have so much going on and you're so busy and you're trying to manage and wear all these hats of being with your family, being with your friends, and being good at your job and being good at school and being good at social media. So I want to hear, how do you guys deal with burnout? How do you take time for yourself and just like unplug from social media? Because I feel like that's really important.
Yeah, so like I mentioned earlier, I took the
Mm-hmm.
summer um break from social media because I knew I was like getting
Mm-hmm.
close to
Yeah.
being burnt out, because I was posting
Yeah.
every single day with like voiceover blogs. It's not just like a few second videos too, so it's like that takes a lot of work. Like I don't know if people
Yes.
realize. And it's not just about like taking a break for yourself, it's also like trying to find people who can understand you. So like you, Michelle, like a lot of my close friends, they
Yeah.
don't do social media. So I'm very,
Mm-hmm.
very grateful for like finding the community, like people that I've met from Toronto and
Mm-hmm.
other creators, because they understand what I'm
Yeah.
going through. I love my friends, but there are some aspects that they
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
won't
And
understand.
that's fine. That's 100% fine. Your friends play a certain role in your life, and I'm glad that you have found a community of influencers that you can kind of be like, oh, this is going on, or the algorithm's acting up again. And honestly, like it's good to have. It's good to have someone to talk to that about. Let's hear from Simi.
Feel like with burnout, I feel like I experienced like my peak of it around like August
Mm-hmm.
this year. I was, working full time and doing school and doing
Yeah.
content creation. And it was like the first time where I truly felt like, you know what, I don't think I can handle it all. I need to sit down and like take things off
Mm-hmm.
my plate. And I like took a vacation, which I honestly haven't done since like
Yeah.
pre-pandemic. Went on a vacation with my friends and just like totally
Yeah.
deplugged. And it felt like
Mm-hmm.
so nice to just be away from hectic
Yeah.
everything and just like give some time to
Mm-hmm.
yourself, give some time to your body, nourish your soul and your like
Yes.
mental health. And I feel like that's like something that I really looked over, just like being grinding like all these years. You kind of like forget to take care of yourself
Yeah.
as well. Like you are only one
Yeah.
person at the end of the day, and you know, you're only young once too. That's something that I try to tell myself. So it's not like always the best choice sometimes to sit at home and, you know, do nothing. Go out there and have fun and
Yeah.
still live your life, because that's just going to motivate you to work harder in
Yeah.
the future too. Like you really need like
Mm-hmm.
that stepping stone. And honestly, now with burnout, like I just post whenever like I
Yep.
truly want to post. And I feel like taking these breaks are super necessary just so I can refuel my
Yes.
passion. Because if I'm just doing the same thing repetitive over and over again, I'm gonna lose like the spirit
Mm-hmm.
that I had for it. So I feel like taking some time away, just focusing on my school, as soon as I get back into content creation, it's gonna be like I never
Yep.
left versus, you know, sitting there for a long, long time. And, you know, just finding new hobbies and interests, I feel like is really interesting
Yeah.
too. Because you know, it's great telling people that you're an
Mm-hmm.
influencer, but it's really nice to also have like different hobbies and interests to like back up that, you know, you're a really well-rounded individual and
Yes.
you don't just do social media, because I know that can be stigmatized sometimes.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. I love that. I honestly do that quite a bit. Like I'll go like on a 1 day, 2 day getaway just to unplug. And like recently I went a couple days ago and I literally like unplugged so much that I forgot that I had social media and I had to post my podcast episode. And instead of 10 a.m., it went out at 6 p.m. because I genuinely, like, I was so zen and like I was so happy that like I didn't have to worry about anything that I legit forgot I had a deadline. So
Mhm.
I 100% believe in that. It's like, go on vacation, go whatever. Like, you don't even have to go on vacation. Just like take a 1 day, 2 day mental break. The world's not going to end. Your social media is not going to fall apart. You're not going to be at 0 followers if you don't post for a week. Like, it's okay. I feel like everyone has different goals when it comes to social media. And that's why both of you bring such a fresh perspective, because not everyone is trying to be this big millionaire influencer. That's not everyone's goal. Some people just do it to have a creative outlet. Some people do it because they just want to share their fun makeup or whatever it is. Like they just want to share that, and everyone has different goals with it. And I wanted to like bring that to light, is that influencers don't have this one definition of what success is. It could mean different things for everyone. And both of you did an amazing job of explaining exactly what it means to you. But I can't let you go without sharing some words of wisdom for and advice for upcoming influencers, and really for those who are struggling with this balance. I know I got a lot of people in my DMs constantly messaging me about these things. So I know you guys are constantly going through it. So what are some tips and tricks, or maybe words that keep you going and that could help someone who's listening?
For me, I would say you don't need to
Mm-hmm.
follow what everyone's doing. Everyone is different and unique in their own ways, and you will find yours.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not right away, um, but it takes time, but
Yeah. Yeah,
you'll get
that's
there.
amazing. Honestly, you do not need to copy every single, trend that you see, or every, like, it's cool, it's good to have ideas, but I feel like social media for you is like your, personal, I don't know, journal. You can do whatever you want with it. You can show whatever part of your life you want on it and build a community of what is important to you on there. So if you're constantly doing what other people are doing, you're not really building a community of your own. You're just like recreating videos. I mean, if that's your thing, cool. But if you really want to become an influencer and influence a community of your own, definitely individualism and being unique and bringing like your own personal perspective is appreciated. That's good advice. How about you, Simi?
Honestly, I think something that just keeps me going is like the words, just like everything
Mm,
happens for a reason. Like if you don't get that brand deal, it's happening for a reason. There's
mm,
something greater out there for you. If your engagement today tanks, like it just means that it's going to motivate you to do better on the next one, which you wouldn't have
yeah,
thought of
yeah,
initially if that one did good. Like all these things, they within like your experience, you don't really realize it, but they all lead to like a greater good, and it's just your also
yes.
personal improvement. Like we're
Mm-hmm.
all on this journey together, so just don't get discouraged by the little things, because there is
Yeah,
just
I
something
love
better out
that.
there
Oh,
for
I
you.
live by that quote. If I could like tattoo it all over my body, everything happens for a reason, I would. Like, I believe in it so much. Everything literally
Mhm.
does happen for a reason. If you don't get a collab for $2,000 today, you're probably most likely going to be getting a collab for $4,000. Like, literally believe in it. keep being optimistic about this. Social media is crazy with opportunities. You never know what's coming. This year was absolutely insane for me, and I would have never, like, there's no way you can plan these things. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what opportunity you're going to get. So just be optimistic, put your best out there, do whatever you can, and prioritize your mental health, because that's one thing I learned. And I was just going and going and going, and I didn't know how to stop. And honestly, I'm still struggling with that. Like, I don't really know how to stop, but I have found ways to unplug, take a day or two off, and then come back to it, when I'm motivated. So I love that. Yes, everything does happen for a reason, and just do what you're best at and hope for the best and try your best. Literally, that's the best advice. Follow me on Spotify and Apple. You guys will be hearing from a lot more amazing guests, and follow Sherry as well as Simmy. I will have their handles right here in the video. But thank you so much, guys, for joining me. And until next time, and yeah, bye.